Yes, it is extremely significant. It is Ukraine's most greatest victory on the battlefield since the Russian troops retreated from around Kiev in March. The area is actually expanding by the hour. We're trying to keep track, and right now we're seeing that Ukrainian troops have reached the border of Kharkiv Oblast, which is just extraordinary. Um, uh, so the situation is developing, but the area is quite large.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
And what's been the reaction in the country? Because, one of the things that we've been admiring Ukraine for from afar is the ability to maintain this degree of hope and determination, against what looked like pretty uh, defeating odds. And now you have this sort of beacon of hope.
Oh, the everybody is elated. Everybody is just elated. They are praying, they are hoping, they are following the news. And for instance, they're cooking things with raisins. Do you know why? Because Ukraine has retaken the key city of Izum, which means raisin. It literally means raisins. So everybody all over the Ukraine, they're eating raisins, posting memes with raisins. Everybody is together and hoping for our troops. But at the same time, there's a bittersweet note to these successes because we know the price that Ukraine is paying. We know that many of our defenders have paid for these victories with their lives. And we know that they may be wounded, heavily wounded. It's funny, but many of the responses they're centered around food. Apart from the raisins, for instance, they're making pancakes because there was a video where soldiers were entering Balaklia, which was occupied for 6 months by the Russians, and women were greeting the soldiers and saying, they were crying, hugging them and saying, oh, we have some pancakes left over, come in and have some pancakes. And everybody all over the country, everybody is making pancakes now because this is just to celebrate all of these good news. But I would like to say that despite all of this, the good news on the front, Ukrainians mourned the passing of the
Queen.
British Queen. I would like to offer my condolences, everybody in my Facebook feed. They were also reflecting on her life, so we were saddened as well.
Well, thank you very much for that, for remembering us when you've got so much to be focusing on yourselves. I want to be carried away by the good news in terms of what's happening in Ukraine, but with the good news comes the worry about how Russia will respond, and well, how one man in particular will respond, Vladimir Putin. And Russia certainly isn't backing down. There have been further attacks on buildings and infrastructure in Kharkiv. Is there also a sense of worry that any progress that Ukraine makes will provoke a strong reaction, a stronger reaction from Russia? Or is there a sense that they are, to an extent, burnt out?
Well, of course, we are preparing for the most difficult winter ever. We are prepared that Russia is going to be targeting our infrastructure relentlessly. People that I know are preparing to spend winter with their own power generators, with alternative sources of energy. They're stocking up on warm blankets, on anything, on power. What do you call this? Power banks, anything that will help them survive without communications, without gas, without electricity. We are prepared. We know that Putin, he's the leader of a terrorist state, and of course they will be targeting civilians and hoping to wear us out and hoping to break our will. But this is not happening. Ukrainians are, for the 6th month in a row, they're overwhelmingly confident that they will win. And our leaders are confident that we will win. There is no fluctuation about that. And right now, basically, the prerequisite for any negotiations with Russia is for Russia to retreat to the borders of Ukraine as of 1991. This means leaving Crimea and Donbass, and this is overwhelmingly supported by all of Ukrainians. We want this terrorist country out of our land, and we want to regain our territorial integrity.
Alya, just finally, what do you know about this power cut that we were hearing about this morning in eastern Ukraine, which was, basically deemed to be the responsibility of Russia, a sort of an act of Russia's?
It looks like an act of retaliation, and basically, we are seeing we are interpreting this as a taste of what will follow in the winter. We estimate that Russia will ramp up these attacks when it gets colder, and of course, they will have a much more serious effect when it will be minus temperatures outside. We know that Russia had a power station. This caused widespread power outages. Repairs were commissioned almost instantly, but as of I know that in the morning, at least part of the power supply was restored to Kharkiv. We know that they continued to strike Kharkiv in the day, and even the metro was stopped. So and also the water supply. Also, that's a big problem because the water supply is dependent on power. So there is no. We don't know how we will get through this winter, but we definitely know that we cannot back down, and the only way out for us in this war is victory.